for these votes. I wouldn't want to miss something because someone didn't have their mic open. I'm also noticing that, who is it? Oh, on my screen, Rebecca is sideways. Oh, there she is. Now Rebecca's right side up. That's much better. Good. Okay. Agenda's approved. Moving down, we have one set of minutes to adopt.
That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting
Do that.
held on January 13th, 2021 be adopted.
Thank you. Seconder for that one. I think I heard Rebecca's voice there.
Rebecca?
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any
I'll second.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any discussion? Any opposed? All right, that's carried. We've received no trustee items. We have no presentations in this meeting.
Actually, Rick,
Oh, go ahead.
on trustee items, I had an email from Archie asking if I could do a quick report. I think this is the right time, Mo, and Archie, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it's not.
Is this the right time to do this?
No, it's
I
not.
just heard Mo say no.
Oh, sorry. I think it's for in-camera meeting.
In care. Oh, that would make more sense. You're right. Okay, yeah, no trouble. Carry on, Rick. Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. So no other trustee items. In that case, we will move down to information items. And trustee calendar. I don't have anything to say about the calendar except to just make sure that trustees' attention has been drawn to it and that you notify us if there are any conflicts there. Mo, did you have any remarks on the calendar?
No, I don't think so. I think just as a reminder, we have the partner group meeting on February 17th. We have the provincial council coming up on February 20th. We have give me 1 second. And that's about it on our calendar.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
Can I ask you a quick question about the calendar?
Yeah, please.
Do we have school learning review on the 17th for Don Ross and Brackendale, maybe?
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, yeah, okay. So we'll get information about that a little bit later on.
Yes, I believe that's so.
Okay, perfect.
Who are the trustees? Do we know the trustees attending that?
I think if you look on your calendar reminder, it lists them.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, and you'd only get a reminder, I think, if you're one of them, probably. But
I think so.
yeah. Okay, so that was the action list. If there's nothing else on the, oh, that was the calendar. The action list has nothing on it except a few items for a few regular items for our June meeting, like election of chair and vice chair, etc. So any questions on that? All right, then let's go down to discussion items. And these are Ian's items. They are prep for BC STA AGM and provincial council. Take it away, Mr. Kent.
Ian's items. I like that. It's a catchy phrase there, Rick.
Yeah.
Busy time for the BC STA meetings. We do have February 20th, the provincial council, and it's going to be done via Zoom, which doesn't come as a surprise. We have two representatives. I'm attending, and Rick is attending as a director. It goes from 8:30 to 4. It's a Saturday. Observers are welcome to watch, but not take part in the discussions or the voting on the motions. There are 3 motions for the provincial council, and one is COVID-19 vaccine priority for workers in the public education sector. There is a motion on funding for distributed learning. They want to see it increased. And number 3, providing accessible and timely information regarding COVID-19 and school safety. Okay. So we're going to be attending that as well, coming in April, the 15th to the 17th. There will be the AGM, and that is where we've varied from having one person attend on behalf to everybody, all the trustees attending. So we're going to have this as a discussion item in March at our board meeting. Who's going, who's voting, and how that's done. What else?
Ian,
Rick,
under that heading, the first heading, which was the provincial council
Yes.
coming up, I think what we wanted to do was ask the trustees whether they had any questions on those three motions.
Yeah.
And whether they had any opinions that you should be taking into account as you listen to the debate and decide
Right.
how you're going to vote on those.
Right. So you can see the motions fully in the BCSTA hub. There, I know,
And you have a copy of them in this agenda as well.
right. So they're there. So you should get all the information you want, and just let us know. It is 10 days from now. So in March, just prior to the AGM, we will look at all the motions. There tend to be a lot more motions at the AGM than provincial council, upwards of 40 motions. And the other thing that they're doing this year is they're doing training sessions, how to vote electronically, how to make amendments to any of the motions. And they're going to give some dates. Now they will assign 2, 3, 4 training sessions, and they encourage you to, if you're going to go to the AGM, to take part in the training sessions. And Rick has done it, and he found he needed to go to at least two of the training sessions.
That was private information, Ian. I wasn't telling everybody that I needed to hear it twice.
Remedial, yes. So, if you're planning and looking at going, then take a look at the training session days and see if you can fit it in. They're usually what, an hour, Rick? 1 hour?
I would count on spending an hour at it. Yep.
Okay, and they will send that out. Any other questions about the AGM or about provincial council?
Ian, I'll make a couple of remarks about the AGM.
Okay.
Just to kind of set the scene for trustees. First of all, I would say we can't mandate this, but I would say if you think you're going to attend, definitely go to one of the training sessions, because my run through yesterday, or Tuesday rather, it's just yesterday, on the online voting system indicated to me that some training is definitely desirable, because you can imagine if you've got everybody in different places, there's a motion on the floor. The software has to handle debates. So all 400 or 500 participants have to be able to be put on a speakers list and debate. So knowing how to even just get yourself on the speakers list is one thing. And then they have to allow for amendments. How do you write an amendment? How do you convey it to the meeting organizers, etc.? How do you amend an amendment? How does the voting and the counting actually happen? It'll happen electronically, of course. So it will be a very different AGM. And, everyone's crossing their fingers that it'll go smoothly, but you can certainly anticipate a little bit of turbulence, and it'll be a very, very different experience than it is when we all gather at a table and have an opportunity to discuss motions. And one of the real challenges is going to be with the 30 or 40 or perhaps even more motions is there won't be time for us as a board to look at, the 27th motion and then caucus and have a little discussion about what we think about it. Because of course, if they allowed that kind of time for every motion, the meeting would go on for a week. So one of the things that you can be thinking about ahead of time is that when we get to March, the March meeting, one of the decisions we're going to have to make is how do we distribute our ballots? You'll remember that we, based on our enrollment, we get 4 ballots, but if we get 6 or 7 trustees showing up, then the question arises, well, who decides how the ballots are going to be used? So we need to grapple with all of that. And, there's other districts who've probably got it figured out, and Ian and I will talk to them and bring some suggestions. But those are some of the things that we need to keep in mind as we start looking forward to AGM.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on that? Thanks, everybody. And that takes us down to Board of Education evaluation. Mo?
Okay, thank you, Rick. So as you know, in the last board meeting, in December's board meeting, the board directed staff to come back with an evaluation plan and what that would look like, with kind of a deliverable of having the evaluation completed by June 2021. Okay, so what we have attached are 2 documents for the board. I'm just going to share my screen. I think this one is probably prudent I do that. Give me a second. Okay, so the first one is basically just a high level, what does evaluation look like? Including what are the deliverables the board will be looking into, and what is the timeline? Okay, so if we just kind of like skip the background information, noting that policy 212 evaluation of the Board of Education is a key driver for our plan for the evaluation, and just go down right to this section right over here.
Mo, can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah, sure.
That would really help.
You can also go to your agenda package and look at it and make it as large as you want, Ian.
You're right.
Okay, so if you just look in this section right away, this is kind of just explaining, as per policy 212, what is the board looking to do when it comes to the evaluation? So obviously the first one is 1.1. It's the accountability to the district and the public in ensuring that the Board of Education meets the statutory requirements as specified in the School Act, and the roles and responsibilities in the district as specified by the board are carried out in a satisfactory manner. Okay, the second one is personal and professional growth and development based on information from the board, administrative staff, district employee groups, and other educational partners in this district or in the district. So basically, you would note that as I go through this document, section 1.2, it kind of states the premise of who our stakeholders are when it comes to very high level. And further down in this document, we started going into what does that mean, okay? And then obviously 1.3, constructive and effective working relationships in maintaining productive communications with the staff and each other. So that's kind of the outcome, okay? So when it comes down to the board evaluation, it's the really high level. What we're looking to do is we're looking to start, or we're looking for the board to make a motion after they've had a chance to review this plan, either in February or this month, okay? Or if there's a lot of suggestions, hopefully there's not, by the end of March. And the reason why we're saying that, or not the end of March, by the March board meeting. And the reason why we're saying that is if we go to the timeline, okay, in Schedule A, it's pretty tight. And we want to make sure that we're given enough time with each one of these steps so the evaluation isn't feeling rushed and it's being thought of very carefully. Okay, so in reality, if you're looking at this timeline, some of the steps include a trustee self-assessment. Okay, and obviously we just said roughly from February to March, okay, depending on when the board approves this plan. Okay, and each trustee is to complete a self-assessment. Then at the same time, the board, as entirety, regarding when it comes to each trustees regarding the board, not yourself, are supposed to complete the same assessment, but for more of the board perspective, not yourself perspective. Okay, so with that said, an interesting question probably is, okay, well, what assessment are you using? How is that going to be done? So if you scroll right to the bottom of this plan in Schedule B, which is almost identical to the board evaluation policy, this is Eli Mina's a scale that he used for board evaluations. Okay, so basically the plan would be to, when it's the self-evaluation, we would obviously reword this. So it's more like I get bogged down in small details, or we, or something like that, right? So it's more the ownership's on you. And then obviously for the board in its entirety, when each trustee is doing that, it would be the same rubrics that's as presented. Okay, one of the key changes that we made, that's not on policy 212, and the only change that we made so far is right over here. Just in case there's anything else that the trustee, or when it comes to for themselves or for the board as entirety wanted to know, it's missing in this. It's question 11. What else would you like us to know? Okay, and then obviously this entire thing, it's a rating scale from 0 to 4. Okay, and basically it's just to help kind of the board and each individual trustees assess where they're at when it comes to these things. So the second part of this is to do surveys and interviews, and that's kind of the involving stakeholder part when it comes to the board policy that I identified right over here, and it's explained in section 1.2, by involving administrative staff, district employees, groups, and other educational partners. So what does that mean? Well, we're interpreting it to mean the key partner groups that we work with. So obviously, the plan for here would be just to respect the fact that we could probably do this in-house, but we still want to check each other on doing this. Right off the bat, we're proposing that myself and our Director of Instruction, Dave, of Human Resources, Dave, do the interviews together. And in reality, our kind of whole purpose would be just to transcribe and write down what the feedback is that we're getting. And the reason why we have 2 people is so we could objectively do it, and we could get to that same place, so we're not misinterpreting things and all that stuff. So in reality, who do we want to do the interviews for? We're proposing that we do it for obviously the table officers of the board. And obviously I'm a table officer myself. So the plan would be for Chris to work with Dave on my interview. And then obviously I would be working with Dave on the rest of the interviews. And the rest of the interviews include, so the table officers obviously would be Lisa, Paul, Chris, and myself. It would be the SSPVPA president, the SSTA president, the QP president, the DPAC chair, the Indigenous Education Council chair, the District Student Council chair, Indigenous Student Leadership chair, and then basically a survey, which I'll talk to in a bit, that would be sent out to basically administrative council members. So that's like Ralph and Ian and Phil and Dave. And it's a survey, so there's nothing subjective about that. It's SSPVPA executive, it's the SSTA executive, meaning that it's not the president, it's kind of their admin council. It's their 4 or 5 people that are in their group. It's the CUPE executive, the DPAC executive, the District Student Council executive, and the Indigenous Student Leadership team. Okay, so right after that, this will be done in February to March. What we're proposing is in April, okay, Dave and I would collate the information, okay, and basically organize it. And then the plan would be in April, right after that, I would go to the board in camera with the collated information and I would present it to the board. Okay, and essentially the board would help identify themes and basically start having their initial conversations of where is this evaluation heading, what are some of the potential action planning, etc. Following that, we will come back to the board in May with a draft board evaluation plan based on the feedback that came from April. And I would present the board what the draft evaluation would look like. And basically, the board would obviously, once again, engage in further conversation and input towards what their final evaluation would look like. And then right after that, it's just the final board evaluation, which would happen in June. And obviously, after the final board evaluation, there's obviously the action planning, right? Like the implementation phase of that. So in reality, that's very high level, the overall overview of what the board evaluation would look like. And before I get to the trustees or before we go into the conversation, I wanted to just really quickly show the board that's what that survey would look like. That's going out to the main council and the executives and all that stuff. Okay, so obviously it would be the same type of background information. It would be the same deliverables on what we're after. Okay, so the survey would start off with obviously identifying who you are, what partner group do you represent, and then it's just very high level based on the board strategic plan and the vision and the budget and kind of key areas of board governance, asking questions. Essentially, we don't want to have it open-ended questions. We want to have it themed where we could at least be objective and evaluate, do they strongly agree, do they agree, disagree, or strongly disagree? And then essentially right after each question, open it up for other comments. So we're still putting in that subjective part of it, but it's still a driven evaluation that still could be somewhat organized and all that stuff. So some of the sample questions would be, the Board of Education establishes a long-term vision which provides clear direction through a strategic plan and board policy manual. Then it's, do you agree, disagree, strongly disagree, and I don't know, okay? And then obviously it would be followed by the open question box for comments. The second one is the Board of Education plan pathways to learning within the strategic plan is clearly aligned with the Ministry of Education's expectation established through the BC Framework for Enhancing Student Learning and the BC Policy for Student Success, and the same, do you strongly agree, et cetera, et cetera. The third one is the board strategic plan and board policies include a clear commitment to truth and reconciliation with First Nation communities, families, and students. Fourth one, the board holds itself accountable for the quality, relevance, and accessibility of the educational programs in the district. The fifth one, the board holds itself accountable for student learning results and all measures within their education plan. Sixth one is the board effectively aligns all service plans. And just to let you know, this is a key thing coming out of the continuous improvement planning pilot project that Lisa, Rick, and I are involved in when it comes to capital planning, facility planning, technology plans, etc. And with the strategic plan and educational plan, how is it aligned with those things? the board manages the school district finances in a responsible manner, including aligning the overall district finances to the strategic plan and educational plan. The board engages in with the public in key areas such as their strategic plan and annual budget development. And then obviously opening it up for, is there anything else you would like us to know? So I guess with that said, before I open it up for the discussion, I want to just pass this on to either Rick or Lisa, if you guys have anything to say when it comes to just kind of the planning of this. And
I don't have anything. Lisa?
No, I think Mo did a good job.
Okay. So let's open it up to the trustees. Any questions or concerns that you'd like to convey at this stage of the development of this? Waiting for people to unmute in case that's a problem. Nope. Mo, sounds like we have a plan.
okay, so I think in the agenda, okay, so I guess what we're missing right now is because I wasn't sure, because I never had a chance to talk to the board about this in its entirety and all that stuff. So what I'm recommending is obviously decisions are made through motions for the most part. So if the committee of the whole, if we could put together a motion for the open board meeting to adopt this plan, that'll be great. And then what we'll do is we'll get started on the work right away and to ensure that we're living up to the milestones.
Okay, so the motion could read something like this. The committee of the whole recommends to the board the adoption of the Board of Education evaluation plan as presented.
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Do I need to repeat that for Archie or
I'm good.
you got? Someone prepared to make that motion then?
I'll make that motion.
Rebecca will.
Okay, so made by Dave, seconded by Rebecca, and any discussion? Okay, any opposed? Speak up if you're opposed. No, okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. And that takes us to the end of the agenda. There are no action items unless I missed something. I should always ask that because I often do. But seeing nothing, are there any objections to adjournment?
Nope.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to declare us adjourned and we will next see each other at 3:15 according to my schedule. All right, and once again, you're going to need a different link for the next meeting. So you'll be signing out of this meeting right now and going into the in-camera link, which is in the email sent to you by Archie. Okay, see you later.
Perfect. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.